What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Happy Friday, people. The weekend is upon us again, which means Arsenal are back. Early kickoff tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff UK time. I'll be live from 11:30 AM. So it's an early start, people. Arsenal against Bournemouth. On paper, looks like comfortable 3-point collecting, but we do have to be wary. Bournemouth are in decent form at the moment. They're quite free-flowing, and we know what happened last season. You know, it took an injury-time winner from Reece Nelson to beat them. So, and obviously Man City play later on tomorrow. They've got Wolves at home, 5:30 kickoff. Again, you know, I'll be honest, I'm not holding too much hope that that Wolves will do anything in that game. But, you know, all we can do is hope, of course. We've just got to do our job. You know, we keep talking about Man City, rightly so. Are they going to drop points? Where are they going to drop points? Or, you know, will they just win every game? But ultimately, it means nothing if we don't win our 3 games. So we got to handle business and then put the pressure on them. Big up to everyone locked in today. Hope you've had a good week. Happy Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Football is back. Arsenal is back. And you know, it's been an interesting week. Yeah, Tottenham got dealt with yesterday by Chelsea. I think Tottenham have gone. I think they've gone. I think they're shot to pieces. I saw they've lost their last 3 games. They got battered 4-0 by Newcastle. We beat them 3-2, but let's be real. We should have beat them 3 or 4-0 if it wasn't for the mistake of Raya and Rice. And then, you know, 2-0 against Chelsea. We beat Chelsea 5-0. And they went and lost 2-0 to them, man. And then they've got Liverpool at the weekend. So, I'll be honest. And I know in a way, we shouldn't do this. But, of course, we're going to do this. I think as Arsenal fans, we've all looked at that Tottenham game against Man City as, oh, is this the game where Man City might drop points? But the way they're playing, I think maybe Fulham and Wolves and West Ham, like, you might have a better chance of them dropping points in that. The way I've been looking at it, Wolves don't have anything to play for. I think they could be on the beach. I thought they were terrible when we played them the other week. Fulham, I mean, again, mid-table, not going to get Europe, not going to get relegated. They're capable of beating a big side, but I'm not totally convinced with them, but I hope so. Tottenham look like they're shot to pieces. I'm just hoping that if Tottenham have taken a few beatings in a row, that they get some sort of reaction. But then West Ham, final game of the season, they are fighting to get in the Conference League. So I don't know. I really don't know where the game is that Man City do drop points. But, you know, we've just got to hope something strange can happen. Wolves did beat Man City in the home game earlier on in the season. So it's not completely out the realms of possibility. Apparently Pedro Neto is back, who is, you would say, maybe Wolves' best player. You know, could they sit back and hit them on the break? And as I keep saying, people, it only takes a refereeing decision. A red card out of nowhere, a late challenge, studs are up, and all of a sudden they're scrambling in a game. So, a big up Latte. Hey, New York Knicks, bro. New York Knicks, Brunson. Brushed aside Philly last night. I was up watching NBA. So, yeah, man, big up Latte as well in the chat. Yeah, Man City, 18 games unbeaten. But we only need a draw. We don't need them to lose. Just draw with somebody and it becomes in our hands, people. Anyway, couple of things to talk about today. We're going to have press conference reaction and so on and so forth. I'm going to bring one of the headlines of the press conference to the front of the show anyway, because you know the press conference tends to be waffle settings anyway. But it is official. He is back. That man, Jurrien Timber, is officially available for selection for Arsenal for the game this weekend. Arteta has confirmed that Arsenal have a fully fit squad to choose from against Bournemouth tomorrow. There was another under-21 game today. Timber has played the last 2 under-21 games. He hasn't been selected for the under-21s tonight because he is available for the matchday squad tomorrow for Arsenal. Now, I want to get your opinion on things, people. We've had this discussion a few times as well about Timber and how we should manage him. By the way, Andrea said, big up Big C. It's his girlfriend's his girlfriend Jan. It's her birthday today. She's a big fan. Can you give her a shout out? Big up Andreas. Big up Jan. Happy birthday. Big up for tuning in. How do we manage him? How do we manage him, people? Because there's some people in the chat who've been saying, listen, don't care if he's back and available. Don't want him anywhere near the squad. Right? Save him till pre-season. Even here, White Glove says, don't risk him. Give him the off-season and pre-season. The problem you've got, White Glove, is this. When a player is declared fit and available by the physio and by the doctor, the last thing you want to do is say, you know what? It's took me 9 months to get back, but I'll leave it and just wait until the summer. The player's not going to want to do that. Second of all, if the doctor and the physio tell the manager he's fit, then the manager's within his rights to play him or involve him in some stage. So I'm kind of with you guys in the sense that, you know, from a purely Arsenal point of view, I'd love to wrap him in cotton wool and you just say, yo, sit down, relax. We'll see you on pre-season in America, US tour. That's not going to be the mindset of him. We've got 3 games left. He's played 2 under-21 games, so he can play competitive football of some sort. He's going to, number one, he's going to want to go to the Euros with Holland. Right? He's going to want to go to the Euros with Holland. If he can get a little bit of game time, then their manager might pick him. Also, we might, you know, who knows what role he could play. Man United at Old Trafford at left back or whatever. Listen, this is how I look at it. I wouldn't start him for the next 3 games. I don't think I would start him for any of the next 3 games. Because these 3 games are they're must-win games, and I don't want to put huge amounts of pressure on him. I think if you're beating Bournemouth tomorrow and you're 2-3, 4-0 up, not that I'm saying we will just hammer Bournemouth, but let's say we're 3-0 up with 15 minutes to go. Bring him on. Give him 15 minutes in a less pressurised situation. He'll get a massive cheer from the fans and you're back involved, you know, and then you've got another week's training ahead of the Man United game. He probably doesn't start, at least not this game and at least not the Man United game. I don't want to throw you in at Old Trafford in what will be a more difficult game. And then we see how the Everton game goes in 2 weeks. Could you start him at left back for that? Or do you bring him on for a bit? Like people saying the hairline looks dodgy. I mean, he's probably stressed, bro. Man's done his ACL in his first league game for Arsenal. I can't blame him. But how do you guys feel? Let me know what you think. How do we manage him? MD says put him for 20 minutes tomorrow and we see how it works. Listen, I understand the whole thought process, but there's no way they're going to be able to hold him back for 3 games. He's played 2 under-21 games. He's been declared fit and available, which means he'll be on the bench tomorrow. He'll be on the bench. He'll do the warm-up. And I think if we're winning comfortably, you'll see him get a short run out at the end. Alan said, Timber looked good against Blackburn under-21s. I would put him on the bench. He's played 2 games for 21. Yep, Zach said give him 30 minutes. I think a lot of it depends on how the game's going. If it's 1-1 and we're struggling and they're causing us problems, arguably maybe you don't bring him on. You want to bring him into a non-pressurised situation, I think, for his first game back. Ideally, but it's fantastic news. How often as an Arsenal fan have you sat here at this point in the season and said every player's available? You know, how many, think back to years gone by, even far away, you know, Danny Welbeck was injured, or, you know, Van Persie used to get injured, and Cazorla was injury prone, Rosicky was injury prone, Diaby, Saliba last season. We have literally got our entire squad fit and available. You know, arguably, the frustrating thing is that the Aston Villa game, and I've harped on about this for a long time, the thing that is a little bit annoying is if we win our next 3 games and City win their 4, you're going to look back at that Villa game and say, arguably, that's the game where the title went, or maybe Fulham home and away. But listen, long way to go. I'm sure there'll be a twist and a turn somewhere. So let's do our job and then see what happens. Oh, Aaron Ramsey was always injury prone. I was in this group And I'm not talking about a pop group or a rap group. I'm talking about when I was at the Emirates and Ramsey played for Arsenal. Ramsey got a lot of hype amongst the Arsenal fan base. I was not on that hype train of Aaron Ramsey. I respected the fact that Aaron Ramsey popped up with clutch goals, FA Cup final, and so on and so forth. But he was super, super inconsistent, that guy. Super inconsistent. Used to frustrate me watching him play. He'd pop up with a good goal and then not perform for the next 3 games, and people would hype him up. But hey, he did have that one season where he was outstanding. I do give him that. And there aren't many goal-scoring midfielders nowadays, to be honest. But yeah, I think Graham said, I think we lost the opportunity at the turn of the year. Back-to-back defeats to West Ham and Fulham. It does feel like that, you know. But listen, let's hope something happens. Man City get a red card and draw with Wolves, and all of a sudden it's in our hands. Can you imagine Man United away and Everton at home to win the title? It would be unbelievable. Ramsey was unplayable for 18 months. Listen, I'm not going to lie. For that 18 months, everything he hit went in the top corner or the bottom corner. You know, he did have a period where he was superb. I think leaving was the wrong decision. I think, you know, his career went downhill very quick, but he got super rich at Juve. Jerry with the super chat said, do you think Spurs would lose on purpose? I don't think, despite the rivalry between the fans, that Tottenham as a club could just roll over and let Man City annihilate them. They can't. Because the manager's now under pressure. They've lost 3 games in a row. I think they'll lose to Liverpool on Sunday. That'll be 4 defeats in a row. Now, even though, yeah, he's got a European place in the bag, I think they're going to miss out on the Champions League. And they'll start putting pressure on him and also the players. I bet 99% of those players don't support Tottenham. So I don't think they're going to sit there and say, let's purposely lose. But I don't think, even if they want to win, I don't think they can win anyway. Because have you watched them in their last few games, how many chances they give the opposition? We could have scored 4 or 5 against them. Chelsea scored 2, could have scored more. Newcastle scored 4. They defend like that against Man City. They get beaten heavily. They will lose heavily. Not only will they lose heavily if they play how they're playing. Because they give you chances time after time. Haaland, De Bruyne and them, man, they are not missing them chances. So even if Tottenham want to win, playing like that, no chance. It ain't happening. So I kind of hope that all these losses that they're taking lead them to, you know, changing their mindset for that City game. But I don't really want to be relying on them. I hope it happens somewhere. Maybe sooner, maybe Wolves tomorrow. Jorge said, so good every time. Aye, yeah, Ramsey, man. Jeez, that bad luck charm on him. I want City to batter them, says Karras. I mean, listen, I want Tottenham to lose every time they're on a football pitch, but you're just hoping they can define the odds, because apart from this year, when they lost in the FA Cup at home, they've had this crazy record of doing well against Man City at home. But can they do it this time? Mr. Cool Bus Driver said, big up Curtis, YouTube done me dirty for the member stream. I'm boycotting YouTube, Twitch to the world. Big up, bro. I was thinking, where was you, man? You know what? We had the longest member stream that we've ever had. Just over 2.5 hours, the member stream. Brilliant. Everyone who came on spoke well. Lots of interaction in the comments. Everyone kind of feels the same way, I think. Everyone feels like we're on the right path. The team are improving, the manager's improving. But there is also an element of frustration that whilst we're doing so well, why are we not filling up the trophy cabinet? Do you know what I mean? And this is always the thing that I say. When Chelsea did well, they won the Premier League under Conte. They won the Champions League under Thomas Tuchel. When Liverpool did well, they won the Champions League. They won the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. City have won everything. We're having a good period of time now. We've got to capitalise. We've got to win a trophy. Now, I know people will say we'll get better and we'll sign a striker. We'll get the missing pieces. You know that football doesn't wait for anyone. Football has no sympathy for anybody. It is the most ruthless sport you will ever be involved in. If you ever play or coach or do anything inside the professional game of sport, Football, it's the most ruthless sport you will ever see. Whilst we're building and we're saying next year we'll get the striker and next year we'll get this, it only takes Real Madrid to go, we need a centre-back, let's offer 90 million for Saliba. Saliba's head's turned. Next minute, you've lost one of your best players that you were building with. Saliba signed 4 years, Saka signed 4 years. I think by the end of next season, that'll be 2 years left on their contract. If you're not winning titles and Champions Leagues, you can't tell me that those guys' heads aren't going to start getting turned. Saka keeps going to international duty. You look at it today, right? Phil Foden has just been named Football Writers Player of the Year in England. Now, usually when you win that, you end up winning Player of the Year as well, right? You end up winning Player of the Year. Usually you win both. Now, Foden's got 16 goals and 7 assists, right? 16 goals and 7 assists for Foden. Saka's got 15 goals and 9 assists. So he's actually contributed one more goal this season than Phil Foden. The reason Foden is winning that, that award ahead of Saka, okay, you could argue Foden has performed at a higher level in terms of, on the eye test. I think he's had more big performances than Saka. But a big part of it is because they probably believe that his goals and his performances will lead to them winning the title. Trophies fix everything at a football club. They take away all the doubt, all the question marks. You win a title, there's no more doubt about Mikel Arteta if he wins a title. Straight away, you become one of the best young managers in world football. Like Xabi Alonso's won the title. Like Inzaghi's won the title. You take away all that doubt. All of a sudden, it elevates 3 or 4 of our players. You're looking at Saliba going, do you know what? Maybe you've just become a world-class centre-back now you've won the title. You look at Saka, you go, you know what? You've scored nearly 20 goals and led us to a title. How can we not call you a world-class right winger? You look at Odegaard, you go, you're one of the best creative midfielders on the planet. And it elevates everything at the football club, winning competitions. How come? And I know, listen, people will say, yeah, but those trophies aren't as big. I'm watching Chelsea. This is Banter FC Chelsea. This ain't Chelsea under Mourinho and Ancelotti that was winning the big trophy. This is Banter FC Chelsea, right? I'm seeing Chelsea get to cup finals, go to Wembley. I know they haven't won, and I get that. But in their very worst Banter FC period, they get into cup finals. Man United are an absolute laughingstock of a team. They should be on Def Comedy Jam, right? They're that, ridiculous. FA Cup final back-to-back years in a row. Won the Carabao Cup last season. Now, I'm not saying I'd want to be where they are in the league. We're clearly much better than Chelsea and Man United. But what I'm saying is, there's no reason that Arsenal shouldn't be, okay, if you don't win the Premier League, win the FA Cup, win the Carabao Cup. We're not in a situation to turn our nose up at domestic trophies. Because Pep won 5 Carabao Cups. And he's the best manager in the world. So he wasn't looking down his nose at the Carabao Cup. He said, you know what, I'll take it. Get trophies in the cabinet. Go to Wembley, have that big day out. Give the fans that great day. See these young players thriving, scoring winning goals, having big moments. When you think about the best players, you think about big moments. If I say Steven Gerrard, you think about Champions League header in the final, the FA Cup volley against West Ham. You need big moments. So I think Arsenal have to change their philosophy. I get it, Mikel. You want to win the Champions League and the Premier League, and we all do. And I respect you for having that sort of ambition. But if you can't quite reach that height for whatever reason, I want to see Arsenal win an FA Cup. I want to see us win a Carabao. I'm not a snob. I want to see Arsenal in an FA Cup final against Man United and we beat them 2-1 and Saka scores a winner. You're going to remember that. We won an FA Cup during lockdown with hardly any fans in the stadium. That's one of my best recent days as an Arsenal fan. Not last season, even though we had a great season last season. Last season doesn't mean that much to me as a fan. I appreciate the improvement, but it's not an unforgettable time. Oh, what a season when we finished second and was 8 points clear. I don't remember that, to be honest. I remember Aubameyang twisting up Zuma and dinking it over the goalkeeper and doing a front flip. I remember that. And dropping the FA Cup on the floor. So it's all about winning. Winning breeds more winning. Go and win the Carabao Cup. Don't turn your nose up at it. Go and win the FA Cup. Yeah, keep that energy up. It makes players want to stay. That's the reason we lost Fabregas and them, man, because they said we're not winning trophies. We're not winning. So I respect the progress and I respect what we're doing, right? The fact that we're challenging, right? But change the mindset of the football club. And what I mean by that is I don't want people to be patting people on the back all the time saying, well done, we finished second. Have that hunger saying, nah, this is hurting when we don't win trophies. So anyway, there's my little, waffle for the day, people. Kendrick's dropped another diss. What, Euphoria or another one since then? A few minutes ago. Oh, my days. What's going on? I'll end the stream for that, by the way. People tell it like this is breaking news. I need to know. What's the song called? I'm just typing in Kendrick. They're saying he's dissed Drake again. He's got a new song out. 616 in LA. What's he doing? All right, well, in fact, I won't do that before they copyright me. Let me leave that alone. I'm listening to that as soon as I come off this stream. Anyway, he's dissed him again. 616 in LA, it's called. Euphoria was whack, says Dre. I didn't really like the song. There's some hard-hitting lyrics in there, but again, maybe I'm old school. It's still not quite Ether or Piggy Bank or Window Shopper, is it? But hey, it's the modern game, man. You got to run with it, Southern Gooner Matt, hope you're well, bro. He said, all we can do is keep grinding out wins and see what happens. We can control winning out, and we need to end on a high. What I want to see is robust transfers this summer. Do you know what, right? Let me tell you something. And big up, Matt. Make sure you go and follow Southern Gooner. As much as I'm questioning Arteta, which I am, I'm fully aware of the fact he's going to be at Arsenal next season. Unless something crazy happens and he ended up going to, I don't know, Barcelona or something. But I can't see it happening. I think Xavi's staying. Arteta's going to be here next season. So whether you're a big fan of Arteta or you're not, he's going to be here. Accept reality and we got to learn to deal with it. I need to see the mindset of the football club continue to move forward in the summer. And what I mean by that is I felt with Declan Rice, why that deal was so good for me was you signed the best available DM that we could get. And you got him ahead of Manchester City. So that for me was like, wow. You got Rice to say no to City to come to Arsenal. I need to see the striker market act like that as well. Because I think we are a striker away from winning the league. I think we would have won the title this season if we had a quality striker up front this season. And that's frustrating because then the question is, why didn't we buy the striker last season or at the start of this season? However, I don't want Arsenal to get caught up in this Kai Havertz form and think, well, because Havertz has scored 12 goals, we don't need to buy a top striker. We'll buy a young striker and go with Havertz. Havertz is not the answer up front over the course of the season, in my opinion. I respect the form that he's in right now, but he doesn't solve the problem. He doesn't. They still need to go big for the striker. Whoever that striker is, they need to go all out, spend big money, and see where that takes us. That's what I want to see with Arsenal. We need a massive transfer window. They need to be hit after hit after hit. We need 3 or 4 game changers. Big up Matt. White Glove said, Mikel has recurring nightmares of Unai good evening. Arguably, you could say he's cost us the title, Unai. He beat us home and away. Latte said, all facts. It's all on Arteta. We want to win trophies. Like, exactly, bro. Exactly. Even Mourinho when he first came to this country. Carabao Cup. Straight away, no messing around. Win trophies, bro. Win trophies. It will elevate you. It will elevate the player's mindset as well. Big up Latte. Guna Carlos. Isak is the only wow striker. Osimhen ain't it. I just don't think we can get Isak. I don't. Newcastle, he's tied down. He's on a long contract. I don't think... They're not stupid. They got the richest owners in the world. That's their prized asset. They're not going to let him go. Osimhen will go PSG, I think, if they activate the release clause. So I'm with you. Isak, over the months, has become the striker that I'm like, ooh, that might be the one I think we should get. But I just don't think we can get him. I really don't. So we're going to have to look elsewhere. DeMarco says, keep up the great content. Also, Rashford, let's talk. Don't care if the chat goes into meltdown. I think we need another rescue mission. I spoke about this on the member stream, and I spoke about this earlier in the week. And I'm not saying this to indicate Rashford. What I'm saying is, sometimes in football, we have to understand that a player is only as successful as the environment is in and the team that is in. If I said 3 weeks ago Arsenal should sign Jadon Sancho, you'd have wanted to unsubscribe from the channel. You'd have said, I must have, you know what I mean? What's going on? Is this guy a red stripe? Is he drunk? We watched Sancho the other night. He played better than Mbappe. Now, I'm not saying he is better than Mbappe, of course not. He was outstanding in that game. Man United fans been saying he's rubbish for 2 years. Goes to Dortmund, looks like the same player he was 3 years ago at Dortmund. It's all about environment. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal should sign Rashford because, yeah, as you're saying, Caps, I think there's doubts about Rashford's attitude. The fact that he's down tools for his boyhood club doesn't say a lot of positive things about his character. But I do think, I'll be honest, I do think Rashford would do well at Arsenal. I really do. I think he would do well. Although the high life of London and the nightclubbing might actually get hold of him and ruin him. So, yeah, maybe not actually. But he's not coming to Arsenal. United won't sell him. Not to an English club. Why Always Me said, cups are not worth it. If Arteta wins an FA Cup, you and me also would say, is that good enough? Sack him. Did FA Cup save Wenger? Do you know the difference though, bro? I understand where Mikel's at in his career. Wenger had been at the club nearly 20 years. Nicking an FA Cup when you've been there 20 years ain't gonna hold your head above water, bro. I would have more respect if Mikel was sitting here right now going, yo, I've won 2 FA Cups and a Europa League. Because I'd say he's building up to that Champions League or that Premier League. And Saka's won 2 or 3 medals, so the next year it puts him in better stead. You know, the mindset changes. So I would see it different. Genuinely, I would. Southern Gooner Matt said, this is why cups are important. Players need a taste of winning. Only 3 current players were in the FA Cup team. Most of the team needs a taste of success. 100%, bro. Most of our team haven't won anything, especially the younger players. You need to experience that. As a fan, you will always remember where you were watching your team win a cup final. I remember being on holiday. I was in Spain and I watched when we played Hull City in the FA Cup final. And I'm thinking, Hull City, these Dons are getting relegated. They're rubbish. We're going to win the FA Cup 4-0. And I'm watching it and we're 2-0 down. And I'm like, I feel like flying home. I don't want to be here for the rest of my holiday. We're going to get beat to relegation Hull City in the FA Cup. And that was at the time we hadn't won an FA Cup or a trophy for like 9 years. And I'm like, I'm going home. I'm flying back. I can't believe what's happening. Cazorla, Ramsey, all of that. And you remember that feeling for years. The joy when you come back. So I would never turn my nose up at an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. Why Always Me said cups are... Oh, no, I read that one. Chris Eddy said, no more excuses. It's time to deliver. Listen, this is where I'm at with it. Arteta will be here next season. Absolutely no doubt about it. Unless he goes off his own accord. Whether you're the biggest Arteta fan in the world, or you're not an Arteta fan, or you're somewhere in between, in the balance, next season has to be Arteta's make or break season for me. Like, factually has to be his make or break season. Whether you think he should go this summer or you love him and you want him to stay here for years, next season's his 6th season at the football club. If we don't win the Premier League this season, he has to win silverware next season or he has to be moved on. You can't give a manager 6 years at one of the biggest clubs in world football and not be demanding trophies off him. We can't just keep talking about youngest team and building for the future. Produce something. There has to be a product at the end of all of it, you know. Trust the process. If there's a process, there is supposed to be an outcome to that process. The outcome should be success. So that's where I'm at with it. Give him the striker. If it's 100 million, give him the 100 million striker. he nailed it with Declan Rice. So why I'm so glad that the Declan Rice deal has worked out so well for Arsenal is because I believe that will give the ownership the trust that if Arteta came back again this summer and said, I need another 100 million for a player, at least he can justify, look how well Declan Rice has worked out. So it was so important that Declan Rice deal went well. Went well for Arsenal because we need that deal so that he can use that to say, listen, I want another striker and it's going to cost 100 million. So, yeah, we'll see with that one. We'll see with that, but it'll be interesting. Somebody just said there's a story about Isak. Big up in the comments for that. I'm just going to quickly read this. I still don't think we can get him, but Newcastle are strongly resistant to selling Alexander Isak, and much may depend on whether the player agitates to go. There is a short list of names that Arsenal see as strong targets beyond that, and they will be prepared to move on should a deal prove too difficult to complete quickly. The thing is, what's crazy about this, and this is where I say Arsenal need to start acting like a monster. Stop acting like babies. Let's not be, it's not a pity party. Oh, well done, poor little babies, youngest squad, blah, blah, blah. Move like a bad man right now, people. Not North London forever, goosebumps, tears in your eyes. This is DMX, Rough Riders anthem, all out war. You go to Isak. You telling me that if Arsenal make a move for Isak, that Isak is going to reject us and stay at Newcastle? I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. He would absolutely cook in this Arsenal team. You go to Isak, you say, oh, what are you getting at Newcastle? 120, yeah, man, 240. Wages get doubled straight away. So we're taking money out of the equation. It probably costs 90 million, 10% signing on fee, so you're getting £9 million to you, bang. Newcastle are not going to be in the Champions League next season. Come to Arsenal, Champions League football straight away. Newcastle might not even be in the Conference League next season. They're currently 7th, right? London over Newcastle. He seems like that guy. He's a flashy guy. Remember when he was shopping in London? How can you tell me that if Arsenal move for Isak, that the player is not going to want to make the move? I just don't believe it. I don't believe he would turn down Arsenal to stay at Newcastle. I know sometimes, obviously, players have a lot of loyalty to the club that's given them the opportunity. They've got rich owners, so I'm sure they could give him a huge contract. Arsenal need to get him to push for the move. They need to tap him up. Tap him up and get him to come to Arsenal. Odegaard's good friends of his from their time together at Real Sociedad. Odegaard, skipper. Get on the phone, tap this guy up and get him to come to Arsenal. Get him to put a transfer request in. I like Bruno Guimaraes and we're going to talk about him. You're going to Newcastle paying 80 million for Bruno Guimaraes. Put 10, 15, 20 million on top of it and take the strike on. Leave Bruno there. I like Bruno, but tapping up happens at every level of football. You do it in a different way. The manager can't approach the player direct. If he gets caught, the club are in big trouble. All you do is you get a player to do it. Most of the time, players know each other. You get a player to ring up and say, listen, would you come to us? Player says, yeah. That's it. Tell the manager to make the move. Get the move going. So, listen, Isak for me, if we signed Isak, wow, I think he'd be unbelievable for us. I really do. I think he'd be incredible for us. Guna Carla said, wait, I take it back. Man U v Arsenal next season. 2-2 in the 90th minute. Rashford volley from 25 yards out. Arsenal win and Rashford points to the badge. Listen, man. Rashy at Arsenal. But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But big up Guna Carlos. Imagine just runs over to like the Stretford end and just does his celebration. But hey. Curtis, let's get Julian Brandt. We've been linked with him before, haven't we? I think he signed a long-term deal. This new Kendrick diss track, I haven't heard it. I'm not talking about Euphoria. He's released one like half an hour ago. So as soon as I come off stream, I will listen to that. Anyway, Isak. Let's move on from Alexander Isak. Hopefully we get him. But listen, it'll be expensive and won't be easy. Let's talk about the other Newcastle player that we're being linked with, and the one that looks more likely And that is Bruno Guimaraes. CD Clip said he should go now, not next season. Listen, I'm saying I'll be putting question marks on him this summer. I'm talking about factually in the situation, bro. The club are not going to get rid of him this season. Next season, they will have to put that into question if he doesn't. Yeah, maybe at the end of the show, I'll listen to the Kendrick song, give you my reaction. Chris said you can have him. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I bet you thought that with Sancho. Oh, let him go. Let Sancho go, man. You know what I mean? He's been rubbish for United. Send him back to Dortmund. You see that performance the other night? When's the last time Anthony played like that? He's probably never put in a performance as good as that in his life. It's not always the player, bro. Sometimes it's the environment. If you're a Man United fan, you need to look at it. How come Sancho, one of the best young wingers in the world at Dortmund, comes to Man United, stinks out the place? Marcus Rashford last year, 30 goals in all competition. Couldn't stop doing this celebration. A year later, the guy can't hit a barn door. He's in Belfast drinking pints of Guinness, trying to numb the pain that Ten Hag's putting him through. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest footballers the game's ever seen. That boiled egg manager, Ten Hag, bins him and finishes the season without Weghorst up front. I think Man United fans need to focus that energy somewhere else, bro. I'm telling you now, that manager's all over the place. But hey, I hope he stays. Ten Hag, we want you to stay. Eric Ten Hag, we want you to stay. Right, anyway, sources suggest there is a confidence at Arsenal that they can land Newcastle midfielder Bruno Guimaraes during this summer. I've read this full article and I've been reading a fair amount about this. I think Arsenal are going to try and sign him. I do think there is genuine interest in him. And I think Arsenal are going to make a move. It sounds like Man City are interested as well. However, I think Man City are going to buy Paqueta. I think they're going to go back and sign Paqueta. They wanted him last summer. They dropped out because of the betting scandal that he was involved in. I think they're going to go back for him this season. There is a release clause. I do like Paqueta, by the way, as well. But I think Arsenal are going to go for Bruno. He has a release clause in his contract until the end of June. The 30th of June, this release clause finishes. It's 100 million, but apparently 80 million for a Champions League club. Edu has a good relationship with him through the Brazilian national team. I always said I never understood why we didn't sign this guy in the first place. It was that January where Xhaka was injured. And El Neni was at AFCON and we desperately needed a centre mid. And this guy went to Newcastle for like 35 million. And we just sat there and watched it happen. I couldn't believe it. And now, look, we're going to have to pay like more than double what we could have got him for then. However, it is what it is. We have to live in the moment. Power of now, Eckhart Tolle, people. 80 million sounds steep. It does. It's a lot of money. However, the market for midfielders is crazy because of Chelsea and us, to be honest. Chelsea bought Caicedo 115. We bought Rice 105. You're not getting a decent midfielder, especially out of a Premier League club. You're right. You're right. Apologies there. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on my internet. Last couple of days has been playing up. I need to get it looked at. 80 million is the new 40 million. So for me, I look at it like this. I'll take this deal all day long. Well, at first, when I saw the links, I thought, Bruno Guimaraes, 80 million. Not sure. Brett said Power of Now, reading that now. Quality book, bro. Live in the moment, people, you know. That doesn't mean spend all your wages at the casino, though. You know, you still have bills tomorrow, but you know what I'm saying. Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, and Odegaard with maybe Partey on the bench. All right, Jorginho will be there as well. But that, for me, is strength in depth. That is a midfield that can say, right, we're trying to win the FA Cup. We're trying to win the Carabao. We're going for the Champions League. We're going for the Prem. That is strength in depth. That, for me, is what we need to be doing. 80 million, 26 years of age, Brazilian international. If that's the one, get it done. I like Bruno. A lot of Arsenal fans don't like him because of the dark arts that he was doing against us. I've got no problem with that. I want dark arts in the Arsenal team. I'm sick of all this North London forever, goosebumps and like kindergarten settings. I want some dogs in the team. I want to see players barking at people. That's what I want to see. I want that nasty streak in the team. I'll take Bruno all day long. Bruno and Declan Rice, double pivot. I'm all for that. Keep Partey for another year. Listen, I don't even know if Bruno is necessarily better than Thomas Partey. That's how good Thomas Partey is. The problem is Thomas Partey is, how many games do you get out of him at that level? And Bruno can learn amongst better players. We're better than Newcastle. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of him. I would do the deal. Listen, there are other options. I think Elliot just said it. And I've said it multiple times. I'm a big fan of this guy Fofana at Monaco. I think he's one of the bargains of the summer. You'll get him for 40 million. A lot of people were saying in the comments, Bruno will get loads of red cards. For 2.5 seasons at Newcastle, not one red card. Not one. Although he has had 20 yellow cards in 2.5 years. So he does get booked a lot. 5 goals, 6 assists this season. Good player. I would take him. But Fofana, for me, is one of the bargains of the summer. We have been linked with him. The only thing I would say about that Fofana, Youssef Fofana at Monaco, I have watched him, and he is a beast. I don't know how good he is on the ball. He looks solid on the ball, but in an Arsenal team that is very much possession-based, I don't know how good he is on the ball. Can he? Remember when we used to want Onana at Arsenal? Not Onana, the Man United keeper, Onana, the centre mid at Everton. The more you watched him, you was like, yo, this guy probably couldn't play in our midfield. Because in possession, although Gabba said he's excellent, so fair enough. Listen, if people have watched him and he's I've seen him a bit, but Monaco don't play the way we play. But I would take him. LSU said, fine, Ivan Toney, Bruno Guimaraes and Fofana, full-on bully settings. I think the thing that frustrates me is I think the Ivan Toney deal's dead in the water for Arsenal. Now, I know a lot of the Arsenal fan base don't want Ivan Toney. I would still have him on my list. He wouldn't necessarily be at the top of my striker list, but he would be on the list. I think he'll end up at another Premier League club in the summer. Unfortunately, I think Toney will probably end up at Chelsea or Tottenham or Man United. They're the 3 other teams that I think would look at him. Tottenham haven't signed a striker to replace Kane. Chelsea need a striker, and I think United could do with one. So I don't think Toney will end up at Arsenal. He hasn't had a great second half of the season since coming back from the ban, so I think his stock's dropped. And his attitude, I just don't think Arteta would like it. I would love Isak would be the one for me. If you said to me now, what striker, I'm paying 90 million for Isak, and I'm giving him the 14. Get rid of Eddie, get that 14 off his back, give it to Isak, and we're absolutely cooking. Tony, even West Ham. I think Antonio now, he can't keep leading the line for West Ham, can he? So yeah, but it's funny, a year ago, you'd have expected him to get a bigger move than that, no disrespect. We will be doing press conference reactions shortly and look ahead to the game against Bournemouth. I'll be live from 11:30 a.m. tomorrow for the watch-along 12:30 kickoff, very early. For those of you in other parts of the world, man, the Caribbean and America and things like that, where your time is behind England, that is an early start, man. It's an early start, but hey, it is what it is. Hopefully we get the win and keep it moving. Ornstein has confirmed Arsenal really like Bruno Guimaraes. Honestly, we are definitely interested in signing him, 100%. I'm letting you know that now. Arsenal are 100% interested in signing Bruno Guimaraes. That link is genuine. We are looking at paying the release clause of 80 million to get him in. And apparently Arteta's a big fan of him as well as Edu. So don't be surprised. And like I said, his release clause is until the end of June. So they can't hang around for too long. We're already at the start of May. So it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal do a deal as soon as the season finishes. There's no need to mess about. You could get that deal done fairly quickly. I look at this summer as it's not a difficult summer. I don't think it's a difficult summer. If you want a midfielder, Bruno Guimaraes has a release clause. Fofana's got a year left on his contract, 40 million from Monaco. There's two suitable options that are easy to get in terms of there's not a lot of negotiation there. Fofana's told Monaco not signing a new deal, year left, you can get him. Guimaraes release clause, you can get him. You don't even have to talk to Newcastle. Pay the money and leave with the goods. Right? There's your centre midfield sorted out. Striker might be a little bit more complicated, but Gyökeres, 85 million release clause. No negotiation. Isak would take negotiation. That might be difficult. Osimhen has a release clause, but I think he goes to PSG. Ivan Toney's got a year left. You can get that deal done. And Sesko's got a release clause. Unless you're going for Isak, the rest of them are all fairly easy to get if you identify one of them as the one you want. I think we could do with a defender. I'd like to see a Diamande from Sporting. I think you could get him for 50 million. He's an absolute beast. We might need a left back as well because I think Tierney will go. Zinchenko, they may listen to offers. Timber can play there next season, but I would like a natural left back as well, possibly. So I think it's a very straightforward summer. Right wing, 60 million. Gets you Elise, although I don't think Elise will come to Arsenal because I think he wants first team football. I don't think it's a difficult summer for Arsenal. I think they can. And a lot of big players would want to sign for us, seeing how we're playing. If you're a player, especially under 25, you'd look at Arsenal and say, I wouldn't mind playing for them. Look at the way they play football. Unknown C, big up, bro. He spoke brilliantly on the member stream the other day. He said, there's money to be made, bro. If we can't make money this summer, Edu might as well type up his own P45 and sign it himself and post it through his own letterbox. Because you got Ramsdale. That should be minimum 30 million. 25-year-old England international. How do you not get minimum 30 million for him? You've then got Tavares and Lokonga. Okay, I'm not expecting you to get much money for them, but you get rid of them. Patino, they're going to get rid of as well. You've then got players like Fabio Vieira, Emile Smith-Rowe, Nelson, Eddie Nketiah. You know, players that I think Arsenal would potentially listen to offers for. You should be able to get 20 million plus for Eddie Nketiah. He's an England international. I know we don't rate him, but if you were selling him, that's an England international who's 25 years of age. You should be able to get 20 million plus from Palace or Brentford or Wolves or someone. Nelson, you should be getting 15 million for him. England under 21 international, right? And he plays for Arsenal. He's quick. You should get 15 mil for it. Smith-Rowe, if you sell Smith-Rowe, that should be 30 million easily. Vieira should be 20 million. Portuguese international. This club have no excuse. They should be making 100 million plus in player sales this summer. We'll probably make a meal deal. You know, a sandwich, a packet of crisps and a Lucozade. The way we do business. Nah, trust me, bro. From Africa said nobody is buying Eddie Nketiah. I don't rate Eddie Nketiah. Honestly, and you know that. I don't think I even have to reiterate it. I don't rate Eddie Nketiah at all. But when I say that, I don't rate him as an Arsenal player. Eddie could play for Crystal Palace. Maybe not, actually. Mateta's better than Eddie, but there's teams in the Premier League that Eddie could play for, and he'd nick them 7 or 8 goals just as a poacher. He could play in the Premier League for one of the bottom 7 or 8 clubs, I believe. He's just nowhere near Arsenal level, not even close. And Nketiah will fetch a few coins, and that's coming for you get some coins if you do your business right. You know what I mean? Liverpool sold Ryan Brewster for £20 million, bro. That guy ain't no international, no nothing. So if you do your business properly, you can make money. You've got to make... And Tierney as well. You're spot on, Red Luddite. Tierney. In a market where left-backs are not very good, you should be getting 20 million for Tierney. But, again, it's Arsenal. Who knows? We'll probably get about £8 for him. Eddie should be at Hull City. Oh, I don't even know if they'd take it. Listen, he went to Leeds in the Championship and they sent him back after 6 months. They signed him for a year. After 6 months, they said, just take him. We've seen enough. We can't take it anymore. They wanted Patrick Bamford up front. So anyway, But yeah, you're right. We should be getting some coins for these players. Finally, before we look ahead and do waffle settings and all of that, Gabriel Jesus. Ramsdale probably is 40 to 50, but not with Edu. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Arsenal's worst thing that we do, when we want to sell a player, we let the whole world know we want them to go. And we treat them like we're not interested. You know when Liverpool and teams like, look at Chelsea. Chelsea sold us Havertz for 65 million. If we'd sold Havertz to Chelsea under those same circumstances, we'd have got 25 million for him, 30 million. We'd have been like, this guy's been here for 3 years. The fans don't like him, blah, blah, blah. Chelsea were acting like Havertz was a crown jewel. Like, listen, you can have him, but we don't really want him to go. We want the full, and we went there and paid it. We'd have sold Havertz for about £7 if it was us. Trust me, we're not good at it. We let the whole world know we want them out. That's why we get bumped. Anyway, Gabriel Jesus. He's done a Wolf of Wall Street, people. This is Leonardo DiCaprio settings. Man said, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. He's going nowhere, people. He's going nowhere. I know we spoke about it the other day. Gabriel Jesus. Arsenal apparently willing to listen to offers for Gabriel Jesus this summer. Gabriel Jesus has come fighting back, swinging like Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, people. He said he's prepared to fight for his place, and he believes that injuries have stopped him from having a successful season. He believes with a full pre-season, he can go again next season. Again, I'm not particularly angry with this. I'll be honest with you. If someone would have offered a good offer for him, I would have had no problem letting him go. Right? I'll be honest. Like Eddie has to go. Jesus for the right amount, I would have let him go as well. However, we have to understand sometimes there might be a player at Arsenal now that when it comes to the first team, you're going, I'm not sure about that guy starting, I don't know if he's good enough. If Jesus was our starting striker now, I'd be angry about him playing because he's not the answer. Jesus coming off the bench, I don't particularly mind that. I think Jesus is a very, very good squad player. And when you really look at it, Jesus was a squad player at Man City. That's where his success came from. We tried to turn a Man City squad player into an Arsenal starting 11 player, and that's why it hasn't worked. Physically, he hasn't been able to deal with the amount of game time, and what we've wanted from him as a striker, he hasn't been able to live up to. I've got no problem looking at a bench next season and looking at Gabriel Jesus there. I think that's a good player to bring off the bench. He can play right wing, he can play left wing, he can play up front. He's won titles. I don't really mind it. I would have sold him at the right price. As a squad player, I don't mind. I wouldn't keep him at the club maybe beyond next season, though, because I do worry about that knee injury. If he was to have another knee injury, you're going to scare off anybody from buying him. Because, you don't buy a striker who's got a knee injury. You just don't do it. You stay as far away as you can. So, give him another year as a squad player. Use him in rotation. I don't particularly mind that. So, I think he's a quality player. Listen, let's put it this way, people. We've had games this season where we've brought Eddie and Nketiah on. Bayern Munich away, we brought Eddie and Nketiah off the bench in a Champions League quarter-final. That is a low point as an Arsenal fan. I said it would happen at the Bernabeu. We'll get to the Bernabeu and bring Eddie on. It happened at the Allianz. That's a low point. I got no problem bringing on Jesus with 20 minutes to go. But again, if somebody came in this summer and said, yo, we need a striker, there's 50 million, I say, yo, pack your bags. Pack your bags, bro, go on. But I don't mind. Decent squad player. And he is going to stay. And I think Arteta's got a lot of respect for him. I like Jesus as a footballer. I've never actually said Jesus is a bad player. I think he's a fantastic football player. He's just not a fantastic striker. He's not a brilliant goal scorer at all. Which is, the sad thing about it. But keep him for a year as a squad player, no problem. Get rid of him next season. Sammy said I have the same problem, fluid in the knee because of dislocating my kneecap. That ish is not easy, constant bike ride knee. He said, didn't he, in that press conference, he has pain after every game in his knee. That, to me, he's telling you there, it's a ticking time bomb. Give Jesus his due. The guy's honest. He said, scoring goals is not my strength. And he really meant it. Scoring goals is not his strength. Now he's told us, I've got pain in my knee after every game. Take the warning signs, man. It's like being in a dodgy relationship. You keep getting them red flags. You don't ignore them, Big up Guna Gossip TV. She said, hey, Curtis, how are things? Just wondered if I could contact you via email anyway. I'd love to have you on my channel. Keep smashing your content. Yeah, man, hit me up, man. CurtisShawTV@hotmail.com. Send me an email. I'll try and sort it out. Big up for tuning in, as always. White Glove said, that's where Mikel deserves credit. Club environment. 100%. People think I genuinely have some, you got an agenda again. No, listen. I can see what Mikel Arteta has done well at this football club. Just because I'm not the biggest fan, I'm not oblivious to the good things he's done. People, whether you're in school, college, university, work, a football club, the atmosphere has a huge impact on the way you perform. When you can't stand your manager, when you don't get on with your work colleagues, when you're in an environment that you don't enjoy, it can become difficult to produce your best. As you've seen with Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho at Man United looked like he couldn't play football. You know what I mean? Now the guy's playing for Dortmund looking like a world beater. It's because of the environment. You know what I mean? The manager's probably put his arm around him and said, listen, we believe in you. Go on the right. Go and cook. Go and rip up these fullbacks. Ten Hag, strict school teacher settings, which is what they was telling me, by the way. People were telling me about Ten Hag when I was in America. This guy, Ten Hag, he's too strict. He's like a school teacher. He's old school. These modern day players don't like that. They're rich. They're probably richer than you. They don't respect these managers going on. You can only treat players like that when you're a real boss. Do you know what I mean? Like Mourinho or an Ancelotti or a Pep. But even those guys have got personality and can have a joke, and they've got, Mourinho's always cracking jokes, and Pep cracks a bit of joke, and Ancelotti's, putting the sunglasses on and the cigar. When have you ever seen Ten Hag show a bit of, a comedy or crack a joke or have a laugh? The guy's just straight up and he's like a school teacher. He's like somebody that probably taught you history when you was in school and never smiles, and you know what I'm saying? So that's the problem. It's all about environment, and Mikel Arteta does deserve great credit for that. There is a cohesion at the football club now. The players all seem to have the same sort of mindset, the vibe, the way that we play football. As I said, Arsenal are missing one thing to complete the jigsaw. That is a major trophy. They win the Premier League this season. End of discussion. Arteta, you're up there straight away as a manager. To come to Arsenal where Wenger went 20 years, nearly 20 years without winning. Emery couldn't do it. You win a title at Arsenal. For me, you become an Arsenal legend overnight. I'm saying it. So people say, you got an agenda again. If Arteta wins the Premier League this season, he's an Arsenal legend in my eyes. You've come from an assistant manager role to one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you've led that team to win the Premier League over Pep. Trust me, you will get your flowers from me. However, it's fine margins. You win it, you're a legend. You keep losing it, you could end up at Real Sociedad in the Europa League. Fine margins. If Brendan Rodgers won the title at Liverpool, he might have still been at Liverpool right now. He didn't win the title. He's at Celtic, I think. Now, Celtic are a big club, but you know what I mean. Scottish football, fine margins. Right, anyway, people, let's move on. Waffle settings with Mikel Arteta. Let's see what he had to say. Tomorrow is a very interesting and intriguing game. I'm going to be honest. I'm always honest about my feelings. I'm extremely relaxed about this game, right? I am. But we have to be a little bit cautious. I'm a fan. My mindset doesn't have to be the same as the players. I'm relaxed. I'm going to get up tomorrow, chill, probably go gym in the morning, come back, have a little light breakfast, go on the stream. I'm looking at this game. It's lunchtime. Just deal with them and enjoy our Saturday afternoon. And then go and watch City against Wolves. But we have to bear in mind, this team took us all the way last season. They nearly ended our season early. And I want to let you know, people, they're in decent form at the moment. This is a team that a lot of people are saying Bournemouth could get relegated easily this season. A manager we'd never heard of. You know, I thought they were in big trouble this season. And all of a sudden, they're doing bits. They've just beaten Brighton 3-0. They beat Wolves 1-0 down to 10 men. They drew 2-2 at Man United. Yeah, they did lose to Villa. They beat Palace. They lost at Luton. That was a bad result. But they've got goals in them. Solanke and that. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful. I think if we score early, I think we can damage them. We can go and beat them 2-3, 4-0. The longer the game goes on, and they do have an attacking threat, Justin Kluivert, very quick, as Red Luddite said, Patrick Kluivert's son, and obviously Solanke, who has been linked with Arsenal. I think he's had a fantastic season. I wouldn't take Solanke at Arsenal, by the way. And I know he is an Arsenal fan. I just don't think he's at the level for us. I think a West Ham or somebody like that would be a good move for him. But I wouldn't want Solanke at Arsenal. Let's hear what he had to say. Mikel Arteta. Coleman music. Mickey Roast, the boss. Let's hear what he had to say. On the latest team news, everybody is fit and available. It's a headache to make the right decision. It's not a headache, bro. You pick the same team. It's as simple. I told you. Mikel, you pick the same starting 11 for the next 3 games. You don't need to think about anything. The team picks itself. We know what our best team is. Pick it and go about your business. Yamming waffles, sipping syrup, cherry cake will work. Doing that title twerk, no diddy. That Coleman music. Big up yourself, Elliot, bro. And big up K. Hayes said, big up Don Curtis in the community. I'm currently in Barbados on a 2-week military exercise. I was going to say, what a nice place to be on holiday, but you're in a military exercise, so maybe not so much, but big up, bro. I'm playing first on Saturday. He said, it is what it is. We played in many different scenarios. On Jorginho, who's been offered a new contract, said, I would love to keep him. He knows that. The club is fully supportive of that. He's a really important player with us on and off the field. He makes us better, so I want him to stay. I gave you my opinion on that in the week. I understand the importance of him maybe in the dressing room. I might have let him go, to be honest. I think at 33 this year, he's not going to get no better, but it is what it is. Arsenal love those kind of deals, don't they, you know? On scoring 16 goals from corners, he said it's a combination of a lot of things. We work in a lot of phases of play. It can help us to be more competitive. On Declan Rice coming second in the Football Writers Awards. Phil Foden won it, of course. He said he's been great. He's had an impact from day one. It's not easy when you come from a club you've been at for a long time. He's settled in good. It's been a great group, and they've been really supportive. I remember a conversation I had with him when we were in the US for pre-season. He was with us for 8 or 9 days. He said he feels like he's been here for 2 years, which is always a good sign. Walk the Mental Talk said, you reckon Partey leaves with J20 staying? I think that would be a mistake. I would keep both of them. I mean, listen, I wouldn't probably have kept Jorginho, but I would keep Partey. And again, you can downgrade him to a squad player with Jesus. On if he will watch the Man City watch, he said, if I can watch them, I love watching great games. There is a lot at stake. Of course he's going to watch that. On the job Areola has done at Bournemouth, I think he's friends with him as well. Said, fantastic. I'm not really going to talk about it. We're not interested in what he's done at Bournemouth. On Reece Nelson's 97th minute winner against Bournemouth, he said, I had a great memory because the game ended in a beautiful way. Nelson struggling to even get on the bench now. I think they'll sell him in the summer. On the importance of a never say die attitude, said at any stage, but now obviously is where what is there to win. We know what we're going to have to win in games in different ways, and that can be won. Hopefully tomorrow it's not that, but if it has to be, then win it. On how much the players are enjoying the running, he said the energy is really good. We just had a training session. It was fantastic. They're really at it. On reaching 100 Premier League wins as the youngest manager to have achieved that. Wow, well done. That's a contribution from a lot of people in this journey. It's been extremely supportive. Obviously, it helps you to win games, so gratitude towards that. And hopefully the beginning. It shows, don't it, that we gave him a huge opportunity at a young age and backed him, because the reason he's got that is because no manager of that age has ever really been given a job like that. Carl, by the way, said, would you sell Martinelli for a good fee? I'd give him another season. I wouldn't give up on him yet. Don't get me wrong, you offer me 100 million. But Martin, he's had a bad season. I'm not going to write him off. Last season he was outstanding. Big up LSU's gifted 5 Curtis Shaw TV memberships. Big up yourself, bro. Big up to the new members. Appreciate that, LSU. White Glove said, I hope Mikel promised Areola a tenner. Basque brothers, yeah, they're both from the Basque region. Jesus, a squad player for 265k a week, FFP. I hear you, but City are doing it. City got Grealish on the bench, 250. You know, that's the modern game. His man on the bench on 300 bags. You know? I'd be really excited if we got Bruno, says Veer. Bruno Guimaraes, of course, not Fernandez, the little rat. Let's continue on the changes he has noticed in the group. Some of them are noticeable. Some as well are related to what is happening in the game. It's different what is happening. Last year at Spurs, we all had a very different game to the one we've had in previous years. We managed the situation well. Let's skip it. How coachable Rice has been. He said that's the right word. He's enthusiastic, eyes open, ears open, very willing to learn and take on information. What a player. And if he needs to score more goals, he said, I think there is much more. We have to put him in the situations. I think if Rice was with Partey in midfield, he'd be on double figures. He's had to do a lot of defending. Them single pivots we were playing at the start of the season stopped him. On how we'd have done if Partey and Timber would have played more, he said, do you have a coin? Ping. I have no clue. I think he's cracking jokes. He said, we have missed them. When you have them around, the team is more competitive. On seizing the moment with 3 games to go, he said, absolutely, full focus, put all your energy into finding the determination to do our best and win the games. How Bournemouth can change under Areola, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not interested in them. If he has spoke to Areola, he says, no, we spoke after the previous game. I'm treating Bournemouth with the same respect as Tottenham. First thing we do is try to read the spirit and what the energy was, and they were talking about it already. Of course, they have to take it serious. Hoping for a more boring game than the 3-2. He said, I have a different game in my head. On the lift to the squad to have Timber back, he said it does. It increases the quality of training. Where Timber will be ready to make an impact, he said, we're not going to know until we throw him in. It's tricky. We only have 3 games and he's missed 8 months of football and only played 50 minutes with the under-21s. Whether David Raya's loan will be made permanent, those conversations are for after the season. I think we've already triggered the clause in the contract. On Odegaard's off-the-pitch qualities, he said, I've said many times he's a great character, a great person to have around. On the areas Martin has improved in the most, he said, when you mature in everything. I'll be honest, I'm struggling with this press conference. I'm hanging on here. My eyelids are getting heavy reading this. Yeah, he's a great character off the pitch anyway. Let's just put it that way. Give it you in the short form. On what he can still improve, he said, we don't know what level they can reach at the end. We try and broaden. Yeah. On Martin's relationship with Saka, no did he. That's when you build chemistry off the field. He's already very strong. Let's skip it. On what Odegaard, Saka and White are like off the pitch. They're very close. They spend a lot of time together. On whether Timber will be playing for the under-21s. He won't be playing the game tonight. Whether the less frantic nature of our games has benefited us this season. Probability of winning. Let's skip it. Some of these questions. Oh, how does Saka and Odegaard get on off the pitch? Yeah, they're good friends. He's not going to turn around and say, yeah, they can't stand each other, mate. They only speak at the training ground. On whether... No, let's skip it. On the reports, the club will listen to offers for Jesus. I don't know where this is coming from. Whether he chats to Pep, he said it doesn't work like that. There you go. On whether 12:30 kickoff slot should be removed, we discussed the slot relating to... Just end it. I got to end it. I got to be honest. If that carries on, I won't be listening to the Kendrick song, and I want to listen to the Kendrick song. North London Forever said, Curtis, be careful what you wish for, mate. Arteta is a great new manager. The grass is not always greener, trust me. Steve, listen, I hear you on that, but also you can't be scared of change either. Do you know what I'm saying? Because when the Wenger situation was happening at Arsenal, a lot of people were saying, yo, man, be careful what you wish for, man. You know, who's going to do better than Wenger? Now, Emery didn't do great when he came in, of course. Well, I actually think Emery was a good manager. It was maybe the right manager at the wrong time. But we're not sitting here now going, oh, man, I wish Wenger was still the Arsenal manager. We can't be afraid of change. You have to embrace change as well. Sometimes change does go wrong. You know, we've seen it at Chelsea getting rid of Thomas Tuchel and going back to Frank Lampard. That's a nasty change, bro. Big up DG in the chat. Hope you're well, bro. Make sure you go and subscribe to him, of course. Always putting out content. Brett said belly full of waffles and syrup. Yeah, nothing enjoyable about that press conference. D Brown said Jesus. Oh no, I read that one. Just finally, before we round up, people, let's just briefly look ahead to tomorrow. As I said, with the team, it's quite simple, copy and paste. Do you know what? In fact, I would possibly make one change tomorrow. I would maybe make one change. Timber's not ready to start yet. Timber's not ready to start. I've only just realised that. Let me bring this up. I would potentially make one change, and that change would be Martinelli. I would play Martinelli tomorrow. And I tell you why I would play Martinelli. And it's harsh because Trossard, you know, he has done well, but I thought Trossard was poor last week against Tottenham. I got to be honest. And I know Martinelli has not been great either. But I would kind of use that game tomorrow as a game to try and get Martinelli back into form, because I think Martinelli's pace against Manchester United next week would be vital. But you need him to have a good game to try and get him back into some sort of form. I love Trossard. I think he's a fantastic player. But long term, you're still looking at Martinelli to be the man rather than Trossard. Trossard's 29. So I would play Martinelli up front. Up front. I'll play Martinelli on the left tomorrow. That would be my only change. I think at home, I think Bournemouth will try and get at us a little bit. They're not a team that go away from home and just camp on the edge of the box. I think they will give us some space for Martinelli to actually hit them. And I think he'll cause big problems to them. And then if you get a good game out of him, you get him ready for United at Old Trafford. So that would be my only change. The rest of the team doesn't need to change for the rest of the season. It's quite simple. Back four picks itself. Midfield, we've waited all season. It's looked outstanding. Front three, I would go Martinelli. But will he stick with Trossard? I'm not sure. He dragged Trossard quite early last week and he didn't play great. So I think Martinelli should start on the left. Rather start Jesus. Pace is king, man. Pace is king. He hasn't been great, Martinelli. But I wouldn't turn on him and get rid of him. I still think there's a good player there. Right, people, I'm heading out. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I'm going to go and listen to this Kendrick Lamar diss, by the way. He's dropped another diss on Drake, so let's hear what he's saying from K. I'll be live tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. We'll be live for the game. The game starts at 12:30 p.m., so an early start, but we'll get that. I might do a double watch-along tomorrow, Man City against Wolves. But you know the rules. If they go 2-0 up, we end the stream. You know, we're not watching it. So that's a 5:30 kickoff. So listen, people, enjoy your Friday. Take care. I'll see you all for the watch along tomorrow. Hit the like on the way out. And I'll see you all soon, people. Bless.